Running gels can be super complicated and overwhelming sometimes with all the options out there, but today we're lucky to have expert sports nutritionist Gaby Villa, who's worked with a couple world record holders. But let's start off by talking about why should someone consider a running gel?
Yeah, so when we're looking at energy gels, the very first thing that we're getting from it is energy. Carbohydrates are energy, and that is convenient for us. And something that, of course, is really helpful when we're looking at this is that it is really easy for us to carry this, for us to take to a training session. So it's actually a really convenient way of getting the carbohydrate with you in a format that is easy for your runs or your races as well. So when we're looking at energy gels, the first thing to consider is your experience. Have you used them before? What do you want to use them for? What's been your experience using these energy gels? And starting from what you've done so far is what's going to be really helpful. So from there we can build.
So in order to pick the right energy gel, we need to go straight to the end. We need to think in reverse. What is our goal race? What are we training for? And what are we trying to get in terms of outcome?
So when we're thinking about that end goal, what we're looking at is how intense and how long the race is going to be. The more intense the event is, the more you will benefit from more carbohydrate per hour. However, the longer the race goes for, the less you want to rely on only energy gels as your energy source. So for example, in the case of a marathon, very likely you want to be in that high end where you're mostly using energy gels and you are having a higher intake, compared to a 100-miler where you want to use less energy gels and keep the ratio a little bit lower.
So it's really important to take in flavor and texture into consideration when picking a gel, because everyone has different preferences and responds to them differently as well.
When you look at the flavor and the texture, it's personal preference. Some people prefer something that is more gooey or sticky. Some others prefer something that is more runny. Flavors, there are so many out there, and it's a matter if you prefer to have variety in terms of orange, vanilla, birthday cake, or something simple like just sugar.
Okay, so now that we've got our end goal and what our preferences are in terms of texture and flavor, I think we want to look a little bit more into the ingredients. So first of all, carbs. That's what we're here for. So talk about that.
Exactly. So when we look at the ingredients, the very first thing you want to look for is when you understand how much you want to use this gel. If you're planning to use this gel at a rate of over 60 grams of carbohydrate per hour, it's going to be very important that you look at two main ingredients in your energy gel. You want to find either glucose or maltodextrin and fructose, which is the other type of carbohydrate. Reason being is because your gut has an absorption rate of 1 gram of glucose per minute, which means in an hour you can absorb a total of 60 grams of glucose. However, you can also absorb half gram of fructose per hour, which means it's another 30 grams. So it means that you can go all the way to 90 grams of carbohydrate per hour if you have this 2-to-1 ratio of glucose fructose. There are some research suggesting that we can actually tolerate 1 gram of glucose and 0.8 grams of fructose, meaning that you can even push beyond 90 grams an hour. However, I encourage you to first confirm that you're happy with 90 grams before you go even beyond.
And yeah, so just before we move on, I just want to make it clear that glucose and maltodextrin, you can kind of think of them as the same thing, because maltodextrin, I believe, is like an extended version of glucose.
Yeah, exactly. So either maltodextrin or glucose, they are going to be glucose pretty much. So that's what you want to find here. The other thing that you want to look at when you're looking at the ingredients is what else is in this energy gel and whether there's something there that you potentially either dislike or can't tolerate. For some people, it could be the maltodextrin, it could be the citric acid, or other ingredients that are in the energy gel. So it's important to look at that if you are aware of any intolerance that you have. Then the next thing to look at is what are other things that could be beneficial or are important to be aware of, such as in this case, we have a caffeinated energy gel. In this case, we have 100 milligrams of caffeine with this on top of the grams of carbohydrate that we're getting. So being aware of what else you're getting from it is important. So one, whether you can benefit from it, or ensuring that you are not overdoing it. If you're only using caffeinated energy gels, that could be a problem because that can eventually be too much. So those are the things that you want to look at when we're looking at the ingredients here.
And there are gels where you only have maltodextrin and no fructose, so this would be capped at 60 grams of absorption per hour. And the last thing to consider when looking at a package is the amount of carbohydrate that you're getting per gel. So this would vary between different brands. We got 30, really obviously written for precision hydration. And in Morton, I believe you have around 25. And then GU has like 23. So You'll have different brands with different amount of carbohydrates, but that's definitely worth noting as well because you might have a goal on how many grams an hour you want for each race. On that, let's talk a bit about isotonic gels as well because I think that's quite a big thing. I don't have any examples of isotonic gels on the table right now, but first of all, what does it mean and when is it applicable?
Yeah, so when we look at an isotonic gel, what that means is that technically that density of the energy gel is equal to our plasma, which means that as like in our body, which means that the absorption is going to be simpler because it's something that at a concentration level, if we remember our lessons of like essentially chemistry, what that means is that it's something that will absorb easy. So when something is hypertonic, it's like the absorption is difficult because that is like it's essentially pulling water out from the area that is against it. If it's isotonic,
it's kind of like going against gravity. It's harder.
Exactly. And then so technically most energy gels are actually hypertonic because they are more concentrated. And yes, there are some energy gels that the reason they are isotonic is that they are adding more water. The problem with those energy gels is that they are bulkier. So if you think about a marathon and you're thinking of, let's say, using 10 energy gels, and if we look at the size of this energy gel and I have 10 in my pocket, I probably can squeeze that. If we think of an isotonic energy gel, they probably are
almost that size, but you only get this much carbs.
Exactly.
Kind of
I mean, like probably half of this size, but it's quite big. Sure. So once you have decided that you have a specific objective, the gel that you like, the next thing to do is actually trying it. So the first thing to do is just pick a training session where you're happy to consume a single energy gel just to make sure you're happy with what it tastes like, how easy it is to consume it while you are running. If this is your first experience consuming a energy gel, it's going to be important that you are mindful of the texture and all the things that may be confronting in your first go. From there are certain training sessions that will benefit more from using energy gels. Sessions that could be really helpful are sessions that are going longer than 1 hour and sessions that could be of high intensity. If they are longer than 1 hour and high intensity, you definitely want to consume energy gels or at least some form of carbohydrate during them. When we're looking at how many energy gels we want to consume, starting at around 30 grams of carbohydrate per hour or equivalent to, let's say, 1 energy gel every 45-50 minutes is a good starting point. And from there, you want to be building till you get to the point where you are comfortable. Also, if you have decided you are happy to stay at 60 grams, then you can stay there. If you want to push beyond that, well, the more energy gels per hour you want to fit in there. And once we are moving towards your race, what we want to do is make sure that you are consuming the energy gels exactly at the same rate you plan to do on race day, and ideally use the particular brand that you want to use during that day to make sure that your gut is absolutely familiar with it and you have the confidence that when you go and execute that race plan, it's going to go as well as you expected. All right, so what happens if you've already tried different brands, different textures, different quantities of energy gels, and you have decided that they are just not for you? That's not a problem. There are definitely other alternatives that you can consider. The obvious choices could be either using gummies or carbohydrate drinks. These ones are also products that are manufactured to allow you to have the energy in a convenient way, and there are good alternatives. And of course, you can always go to food if you want to. There are options like dry fruit, even sandwiches, bananas. There are a million of options out there that you can consider. Always, before you go and choose the next option, go back to the beginning. What is the objective that you want to achieve? And once you understand that, it's easier for you to decide what is the next option that will be more suitable for that situation.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Gabby. That was a lot of insight as usual. Everyone loved hearing you come on my podcast and also the couple of videos that you've done on my channel as well. But yeah, where can people find you? You have Instagram, YouTube, and a website. Plug it away.
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram as @IntenseHitFit. You can also find me on YouTube as IntenseHitFit by Gaby Villa. And on my website, intensehitfit.com, there I have a free nutrition audit that you can complete. Is a 30-question multiple choice, and that is going to give you insights on how your nutrition is working for you, so that way you have key steps that you can focus on to work on your nutrition and make sure that you keep fueling your endurance success.
And also you do like free calls or whatever, right?
Yeah, so if you just want to go straight into have a conversation with me, there is a button on my website. You can book a free call and we can jump on, have a 30-minute conversation where you can get to understand what are the nutrition issues that you may be facing and how are the things that you would like to look at in correcting this. And yeah, we can have a conversation there, and that's there for you, all free, no commitments.
Cool, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sota.